Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
We will meet these every step of the way through the Fight the Fines program. Now, we haven't had, as I said, one conviction to date. That doesn't mean that the battle is over, and we think that the government will cherry pick a couple of files that they will want to prosecute to the fullest extent to make an example. Albertans are quick to anger, but we are long to forget some of the things that the government has done in response to COVID.
So it's not a town bylaw?
No, sir.
Okay.
No.
So why is a bylaw officer giving me a ticket?
Requires a community peace officer or police officer to serve.
Okay, so just so you're aware, that's my property.
Yes, sir.
And I have a constitutional right to do whatever I want on my property. I'll take this ticket under protest.
Absolutely.
And it will be flawed. What can you just explain to me what the ticket is for?
It's for having an event, an outdoor gathering of more than 10 people.
Friends, I want to tell you a little bit of good news. Lately in Alberta, when I go to do a Fight the Fines case, often between the first time when I interview the client and then when I get around to interviewing the lawyers involved, sometimes it takes a week or so to connect with everybody, the cases end up getting tossed out of court. Now, for those of you who don't know, Fight the Fines is Rebel News' largest civil liberties project, well, really ever. What we do is we connect normal people facing lockdown tickets, fines, summonses, or some other sort of lockdown infraction with top criminal or civil litigators at no cost to the victims of the government's smackdown on their freedoms. At Rebel News, we crowdfund the legal defenses, and we do all of this work in partnership with the Democracy Fund. Now, the Democracy Fund is a registered Canadian charity that works to advance civil liberties and rights for all Canadians. What this means for you at home is that your donations to Fight the Fines now qualify for a charitable tax receipt, so your dollar goes a little further. And all of this has been very gratifying work for me. It's gratifying to be able to document all the terrible things the government has done to average people, our fellow Canadians who are just trying to live their lives with some sense of normalcy in a very abnormal time. People have received lockdown tickets for such innocuous things as going ice fishing, taking a horse to a Calgary protest, and hosting the Easter Bunny at an outdoor event for little kids. But the work for me is more than just telling the story of the bad government actions during the pandemic lockdown. It's also about offering help to someone on what could possibly be the worst day of the pandemic for them. The day they receive a crushing fine for doing truly, absolutely nothing wrong. So I thought I would catch up with one of the incredible Alberta law firms working so hard on these Fight the Fines cases and get a little bit of a state of the union. So here is Chad Williamson from Williamson Law, and Chad fights every single Fight the Fines case like it is the most important one at his law firm, whether it's a $1,000 ticket or something that may send his client to jail. Take a listen.
Well, here we are, nearly a month out from the purported lifting of the aggressive and oppressive government lockdown restrictions that seemed to disappear on July 1st for, quote-unquote, the best summer ever. The government is still continuing to prosecute dozens of these cases, and our office is continuing to aggressively defend our clients against some of these charges in the Fight the Fines campaigns. Now, we've successfully had dozens of them withdrawn or discharged, but the government continues to amp up its enforcement of some of these while withdrawing some of the more precarious charges and claims that they have against business owners and restaurateurs and regular Albertans pursuant to some of these regulatory charges. Now, the fight is not over. We've got a whole bunch of stuff happening on the Whistle Stop file and some of our other clients that have appeared in other videos, but most specifically, the Fight the Fines claims, we are going to fight these until the end. And whether or not the government wants to discharge these claims, try to save themselves some money and not being forced to actually run fulsome due process trials for each one of these, we will meet these every step of the way through the Fight the Fines program. Now, we haven't had, as I said, one conviction to date. That doesn't mean that the battle is over, and we think that the government will cherry pick a couple of files that they will want to prosecute to the fullest extent to make an example of anyone who may have disagreed with some of the implemented lockdown restrictions. So the support of Albertans for this program has been so overwhelming and so important in order to protect people and provide them with the legal defense that they need to push back against the government overreach. Quite frankly, if there weren't organizations and civil liberties projects like Fight the Fines happening, most of these folks would not have the money to afford a legal defense, and quite frankly, probably wouldn't have the money to pay the often $1,200 fines and sanctions that are associated with these tickets. So it's just by the sheer generosity and spirit and courage of Albertans that these folks have been able to push back against the Crown. Now, Albertans are quick to anger, but we are long to forget some of the things that the government has done in response to COVID. We will continue to fight whether or not this is the best summer ever or whether or not we've opened up. We will mete out every one of these cases until the bitter end. And as always, our clients and our office thanks everybody for their unwavering support. We need to stand up for what's right.
Did you hear that? 0 cases lost so far at Williamson Law. Not a single ticket conviction. There is still such a long way to go, and of course, not all the cases have been before a judge quite yet. But the Crowns are tossing these tickets once they realize the people being helped through fightthefines.com have really great lawyers who are going to fight their tickets ferociously in court. I'm really proud of this work and this initiative. And I'm proud of the lawyers working on these cases. The lawyers and donors I talk to me tell me that they see many of these tickets as punishment for the poor who are just trying to live their lives. Many of these folks don't have access to a private patio in the sky to hide their public gatherings from prying eyes like our leaders do. And you know what? I've also heard from so many grateful Fight the Fines clients too. We might not be able to change the whole entire world, but when we fight these individual tickets, I think we, and by we I mean all of us, the lawyers, our hardworking journalists, and the generous donors to the Democracy Fund, I think together we change the world of the people being helped. A $1,000 fine or a $5,000 fine can be enough to destroy a family already being pushed to the brink through lockdown stress, unemployment, business losses, and depression and despair. So we really aren't just fighting fines. We're helping lift that crushing, catastrophic burden off the shoulders of families so that these families can live their lives, and maybe we can help the lockdown victims of the government have the best summer ever, as the politicians keep telling us that this one is supposed to be. So again, I want to express my thanks and gratitude to everyone who has donated and who continues to donate to fightthefines.com. You are changing the lives of people you don't even know in ways you can't imagine. That's so kind. And personally, let me say this, the kindness is overwhelming to witness. There's so much work left to do. And as Chad Williamson pointed out, he expects some serious government hijinks very soon, and I suspect Chad's right. If we are going to be locked down again in the fall, and I think that's a real possibility, the government will need some wins in court to deter normal people from fighting back again. So we have to do whatever we can to stop that from happening. If you'd like to help, please donate today at fightthefines.com. Thank you again. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. At Rebel News, we are currently helping over 2,000 people fight their lockdown tickets in court through the generosity of our donors at home. If you'd like to help us do this important civil liberties work, you can donate today at fightthefines.com, and all donations there now qualify for a charitable tax receipt through the registered Canadian charity, the Democracy Fund.